We've been talking about the high stakes of tonight's debate. They are especially high for Joe Biden. The former vice president had a substantial lead here, but has dropped in recent polls, notably among the state's black voters. CBS This Morning co-host Gayle King met with a number of black voters, as well as campaign organizers and veteran volunteers.
Cut your TVs off and stay focused.
Bernice Scott is a force in South Carolina politics.
We got a lot of work to do.
Whether she's organizing volunteers at her home,
I'm out here talking to people about the issues.
greeting people door to door,
All right, let's get it up in here for Joe Biden.
or adding emphasis through a bullhorn on a Joe Biden campaign bus. Her voice is a trusted one in the Palmetto State. When we arrived to meet her last Friday, we were greeted by the group she founded more than 30 years ago. They are known as the Reckoning Crew.
Why did you call it the Reckoning Crew?
Because if you don't do what's right by the people, you have to reckon with us.
99.
Whoa!
The group of now mostly senior citizen organizers initially endorsed Senator Kamala Harris. After she suspended her campaign, the Reckoning Crew made headlines for backing Joe Biden.
What is it about Joe Biden that you feel a personal connection to?
Because our country is so far back now. Till Joe Biden worked 8 years with Barack Obama. We need somebody who can hit the ground running.
The former vice president had a formidable lead in South Carolina, but according to a new CBS News Battleground Tracker poll, his support among the state's black voters fell from 54% in November to 35%.
Are you concerned about what's going to happen to your candidate of choice in South Carolina?
No, not really.
Why?
Because all we can do as the Wrecking Crew is take the message to the people. And if a train is coming down the track, and I tell you to get off the track, and you don't move, I can feel good knowing I told you.
Joe Biden's drop in the polls offers his Democratic rivals greater expectations for the next primary.
But the three of you are here to say we have a different story.
We went to the University of South Carolina in Columbia to meet with young organizers pulling for Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Pete Buttigieg.
So I'm very fascinated because your full name is what?
Walter A. Clyburn Reed.
Clyburn, ding, 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 ding. We
Yes,
all know
ma'am.
the Clyburn name.
Yes, ma'am.
So your grandfather, Congressman Clyburn, has been on record as saying that Mayor Pete's sexual orientation will be a problem for some voters. He said he's not necessarily talking about himself,
Yes,
but he
ma'am.
said, but many voters in South Carolina, black voters in particular,
Yes, ma'am.
that would be a problem.
He was referring to his generation in particular. He understands that our nation is progressing, and he also understands how much that community has a positive effect on not only American society, but eventually American politics.
I want to say this about you, Alex. I so admire you because you're 16 and you can't even vote in this election yet. At 16, I was just hoping, please, somebody ask me to the prom. What is it about politics that fascinates you?
As I grew up, I realized that politics is going to affect me and everybody else. And so when I was witnessing the 2016 election, that's when I really found out that it matters who you vote for.
You settled on Bernie Sanders. Why?
He's a candidate who has fought for the civil rights movement as far as policies like Medicare for all, getting money out of politics, and ending the overseas wars, because that's what I would run on if I could run.
Do you think the stakes are higher this time, Zainab?
I think they are because, the last 4 years, so many people have been afraid of where this country is headed. And I think, Elizabeth Warren says herself, this is the fight of our lives.
Walter, we had talked before about how people view voters of color, that it's a monolithic group.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
when you hear that, what do you think?
That is very untrue. We all have different viewpoints, and in this election in particular, we have a lot of candidates who have a lot to offer.
In the state capitol, we talked with voters at a family fun run.
Have you narrowed it down? I'm down to 2.
Who seem to agree the race for the Democratic nomination in South Carolina remains wide open.
We still have more time. I still have more time to change my mind. I'm still researching and
so. We'll see.
So will the debates matter to you?
They do. They matter a lot.
They do.
Yeah,
How
because
so?
you can't retract what you said in front of millions of watchers. How are you appealing to the African American voters?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of the voters is that
in this
African
community, I
American,
hear
especially
that.
in this community.
It's like 60% black.
Yeah, so that's important. I need to know.
Let's bring in our CBS News campaign reporters, Cara Korte, Bo Erickson, Zak Hudak, and Tim Perry. Hooray, you're all here in person. I get to talk to you. It's great to see you all. Thank you all for being here. Bo, I'm going to start with you. You are covering Joe Biden. How has he been preparing for tonight?
Well, yes, it seems like I cannot believe we're already in South Carolina. We've been going on for like 8 or 9 months already.
Yeah.
But how he's preparing, he's really ramped up the rhetoric saying that he has Barack Obama's back. And now this week, at the end of the week, he's hoping South Carolina voters will have his back as well. The main point that he is bringing up is health care. He is saying that through the Obama plan, Obamacare, he is going to back that up. He's saying he's ride or die with that plan. He's trying to force that wedge in between his plan and Medicare for all, but it will be seen to at the end of the week if that's actually more effective than it was in Nevada, as we saw that a lot of those union voters actually supported the single-payer health care plan that Joe Biden is supposedly against. The one other issue that he's continually used Barack Obama's name is any issue regarding race, his question of race, whether it's the 1994 crime bill. He also apologized in the state last summer about those segregationist comments working with senators at the time. He keeps saying, well, if Barack Obama uses my judgment at the time to pick me as a vice president, he says, I have no problem with race. Why do other people have problems with race?
Cara, let me ask you, we saw the candidates at the last debate really go after Mike Bloomberg, but I wonder now, given what we saw unfold in Nevada, is the Sanders campaign looking to perhaps be the focus of the incoming really tonight for the senator?
Well, Elaine, I think they're certainly anticipating that, and it is a signature sign that you're the front runner, right? Bernie Sanders says that, he won the popular vote in Iowa, they won New Hampshire, then that commanding win in Nevada. I was just speaking to National Campaign Co-Chair Senator Nina Turner. I said, do you expect the heat to be turned up tonight? She said, like water is wet. So they know they know what's coming. But again, it means that you're the front runner, which is a good thing. Think about, Elaine, 2016, what South Carolina in 2016 meant for Bernie Sanders. He was walloped here by Secretary Hillary Clinton. He did not win one county in South Carolina. She got some 73% of the vote. He barely got over 20% of the vote. So it's kind of the opposite for Joe Biden. The expectations, in a way, if you want to spin it for the Sanders campaign, could not be any lower. They even now running against 7, 8 more people, he very well could do better in South Carolina than he did essentially running against one person last time around. So while we're expecting the most from Joe Biden's campaign, really for the Sanders campaign, the bar is a little bit lower. And even if he doesn't win, if he comes in a commanding second, he most likely will win counties here. So you can take that for the Sanders campaign, run with that to Super Tuesday and say, look, we're getting better. We don't have to win in South Carolina to say that our campaign is doing better than it ever has before.
Zach, let me turn to you. You cover Senator Elizabeth Warren and Tom Styer. We know that during that last debate, she really came out, did not hold back at all. She came in 4th in Nevada, and she polled 4th in South Carolina in the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll. Does her campaign think that tonight could actually help her here in South Carolina?
Elaine, they surely think that it could give her a boost. When she performed in Nevada, we really didn't get to see any boost from that because so many voters had already cast early votes in that caucus. In this case, yes, she has a chance to gain some momentum in South Carolina, but South Carolina has never been a place where Elizabeth Warren has been particularly strong. Joe Biden has long sort of held the stronghold here, and lately now Bernie Sanders is in the mix, but Elizabeth Warren was never really considered a likely contender to win South Carolina. What her campaign is much more focused on right now is Super Tuesday. They've been pushing this message that their goal is to win up enough delegates in Super Tuesday to, again, become a majorly viable candidate. In fact, just Thursday, she's headed to San Antonio with Julian Castro for an event. And I'm sure that we can expect soon after that she may even be heading out of here and hitting as many of those states with those big delegate counts as humanly possible.
Yeah, well, what about Tom Styer? So he's polling third here. How much does his campaign actually hinge on how well he does here in South Carolina?
It hinges tremendously. It did also on Nevada, but he did not have the showing in Nevada I think that they had hoped for. In South Carolina, he is here more than almost anywhere else, really here in Nevada where he's spent most of his time. And something we have to remember, he's the only candidate who will explicitly say, I support reparations. Not that I will consider it, not that I will create a committee to look into this. He explicitly says we need reparations in this country, and that's an issue that it seems his campaign thinks could really give him a boost in South Carolina.
And just a fun fact to hop in there off our CBS News polling, 3 in 10 voters who said they supported Joe Biden in November, these people now are saying they support someone else. Half of those people are saying they are supporting Tom Steyer. So he's taking support away from Joe Biden.
You can draw that direct line.
And so we don't know how much the people there's actually going to be. If he's successful in the state, it's coming from Joe's people.
Interesting. All right. Well, Tim, we heard from Aaron McPike from the Bloomberg campaign. He's not on the ballot here. He will be on the ballot, of course, for his states with the Super Tuesday primaries. What is his actual plan here post South Carolina?
Right. And so Super Tuesday is kind of where the campaign is betting a lot of its marbles heading forward, because as you said, they were not in the first 4 voting states. And so he's going to continue doing what he's been doing since he jumped in the race. He actually comes into Super Tuesday in a way with a bit of an advantage since he's been investing in a lot of these states. He's been traveling to a lot of these states. And just in a state like Texas, where he's heading to after the debate, he's got over 180 staffers in that state alone, 19 offices statewide. He's also got over 100 endorsements. That's just one state, and he's building just a massive operation throughout the entire country in a lot of these Super Tuesday delegate-heavy states. And so what I will look for tonight is to see how he goes after Senator Sanders, the front runner, because key to their strategy is making sure Sanders does not get that 15% viability that he's going to need in another big delegate-heavy state like California. And so you'll see him beating him up a lot on issues like guns in the last week or so. The Bloomberg campaign offices have been being vandalized. He's definitely going to bring that up and try to pin that on Sanders and some of the rhetoric that the Bloomberg campaign says the Sanders camp has been engaging in. So we should definitely see what that matchup will look like tonight.
Cara?
And they're prepared, Elaine. I was just talking to Ari Ravenhaft over here in the spin room, who is the Sanders campaign deputy manager. And I said to him, Ari, are you ready for the heat to be turned up tonight? And he said, I work for Senator Bernie Sanders, who has had a consistent record for, as he said, 40 years. And they really stand firm on that record. So if he's being questioned on guns or whatever it may be, they're basically saying, bring it on. They're confident.
And just one last thing. I'm sorry to keep
No, don't be. This is why we have you
we've
here.
been in mock debates all week.
Open up the notebooks, yes.
Bloomberg was supposed to take part of the town hall last night, and the campaign specifically said, we're not doing it tonight. They're going to push it back tomorrow. Why? So that they can prep more on going up against Senator Sanders tonight. And they say they're the only candidate that's actually taking the threat of his rise seriously.
Clearly high stakes for his campaign and all of the campaigns really at this point. All right, Cara Korte, Bo Erickson, Zak Hudak, and Tim Perry. Really great to have you all here. Thank you so much.